All right, what is up, everybody? Shout Scout 0013 here, making a surprise appearance. Right before I leave, I decided to, when I did the last live recording, I had mentioned trying to get a video in with Dave Grant, and I was surprisingly able to do it before I left. So I am coming to you with a surprise interview with Dave to talk about Empire and Commander Vader versus Operative Vader, even though it's a short kind of discussion, and a lot of the state of Empire, maybe some things that they're missing, some great things that will come shortly with the Imperial High Command, and a whole bunch of other stuff. So I hope that you enjoy the video. If you are new to the channel, be a subscriber and leave a comment. That would be great. I will return in May, and I hope that you still join the Discord. And with Yelt right here, trying to talk about the Republic list that he created, and maybe giving some feedback here, is definitely what we try to do on the Discord with the general chat. It's anything that you wanted to talk about. I will have a ton of painting to do whenever I get back, as you can see. And if you got rules questions, if you've got Empire lists, anything like that, if you are playing Tours of Duty, yeah, you're welcome to really put everything on here. If you hobby, it's awesome to kind of see the finished work that you guys do, whether it's Legion related or not. It's just nice to see you guys paint. And if you're a commission painter, it would be great to kind of see what you've got. Victoria here with her entire setup of her new terrain. You've got Grant here with the Willbike General Grievous. So yeah, this is a place to just kind of show off what you guys can do and what you guys are doing. So yeah, please be a subscriber, leave a comment, and join the Discord. So that is really it. Hopefully you will enjoy the video that we did with, or that I did with Dave. And yeah, Merry Christmas, Happy Life Day, and I hope that you guys are enjoying time with family and watching Legion videos. Thank you. All right, what is up, everybody? So Shadow Scout 0013 here, coming in with the infamous Dave Grant.
Hi. How you doing?
Yeah. And today we're going to be talking about Vader and Empire and kind of give you guys kind of like a good little summary of what we think Empire is, especially Dave with being able to play Empire for so long and, playing Vader very well to the point where we Americans got to see you play a Palpatine, Vader, and Gav tank list. And if you'd actually like to start off talking about the Legacy Legion, just kind of like what got you into Vader, what made you put together that list, and your thoughts on that list before we kind of transition to the 2.0.
Sure, a long time ago. So I picked up Legion when it first came out, pretty much. At the time I was living in Hong Kong. So I used to travel to the UK and to Adepticon actually to play in tournaments. That was the only chance I got to play. And I started with Vader straight off the bat. So I played nothing but Vader for the first probably 2 years of the game. Like every single list I had played Vader. And since then, I would say at least half my games include him. I enjoy the background, the IP. I like Vader. I think he's a cool character. And in the game, I really enjoy using him. Even before Burst of Speed, before Saber Throw, before he could any Darkness Descends, any of those things, I used to enjoy just walking him slowly around the table, beating things up. So I enjoy Vader a lot. I have done for a long time. And that list you're talking about, so that was LVO 3 years ago, I think it was now.
I think so, yeah.
Um, so there's two things that prompted that list. Obviously, Palpatine may rest in peace in Legion, long gone. But I wanted to use a list that involved Palpatine because I hadn't really used him that much. And I was like, well, what's the best target for pull the strings? And this is a discussion that's going to be relevant again for the Empire with Moff Tarkin coming out. Who should be pulling the strings on? And so I thought, well, the best, character that would be really useful for that would be Vader. He has the best attack in the Empire, something did at the time before Super Squads came out. So as well, I often got Vader in a list, and it kind of went on from there. I'd used Vader in a Gav tank quite a lot previously, since the Gav tank first came out, to kind of transport him around the table. And then so then there was another separate conversation to that, which was going on a number of podcasts, especially American ones, if I'm honest, We'll talk about activations and how you needed at least 11, 12 activations to be competitive. And if you had less than that, you weren't going to win many games, and those kind of comments. So I wanted to set about proving them wrong effectively, because I didn't believe that at all. As I said, so I'd been using Vader a long time, and in old Legacy Legion it was 800 points. Again, I would say 90% of my games I was using 8 activations or less. So I didn't, and being relatively successful. So I didn't kind of agree with that. So yeah, there's two things there. So I knew I was going to the US, so I wanted to take a very low activation list, just to, I don't know, make a point. And also, Pulp Vader was the thing I was working on. So I started running that list probably 9 months before the event was the first time. And I'd got to the point where I was doing very well with it. I'd won a number of events in the UK, took it to LVO, and it kind of shocked a few people. I was first game on stream. I think I was the only kind of international visitor, or certainly from the European side, out of 120 players. So I put me on stream, and I kind of shocked a few people with some of the tactics I was using that was a bit unknown. And yeah, went from there.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I think it was a big surprise to us to just see how amazing Palpatine and Vader could be together finally, because it was hard for us apparently to get a really good low activation list, especially with Vader and Palpatine.
Yeah.
And then so with the release of 2.0, you then surprised us with an amazing Vader and Krennic and Dewback list with what, 5 medics? I think you said.
Yeah, it was 5 or 6. I can't remember now. I'd been running Vader medics for a while. It was the biggest event in the UK called the MKGT, now Chopper Base Open. And I came like second or third the year before with under Old Legion with Vader and 6 medics. And then I did the same thing in 2.6. Basically, it was the first 2.6 grand tournament, and I was able to win that one with Vader, 3 Jews, 6 medics, and Krennic, I think it was. But yeah, so it's well, it worked pretty well. Obviously, that first event was a bit of a it was like my third game of 2.6, I think, the first game of the event, and most people very similar. That had like maybe one game to try the new rules, and everyone was learning as they went. But it worked well. And Vader Jews seems to be a staple of 2.6, which I'll probably talk a bit more about in terms of why that might be.
Yeah, no, we'll definitely get into that. Definitely, because I feel like it's probably one of the best combos to have right now in Empire. So, besides the unkillable Vader that you usually have, you've stuck to Vader because he was having the strongest attack, and you've just had a draw into Vader for a while. Which Vader will you choose, Operative Vader or Commander Vader?
I am for anybody that goes on the Legion Discord. Everybody knows I'm Commander Vader all the way. I actually played Operative Vader once at one event, and he was I played Implacable, and my opponent immediately suppressed him, and I'm like, yeah, no, and he didn't roll any off, and I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not doing that anymore. So Operative Vader went in the bin, and yeah, I'm Commander Vader
Okay,
all the way.
so I know that we will have this. We'll go ahead and have the discussion since we've got it up. See, I am an Operative Vader fan over Commander Vader fan. Now, let's go ahead and we can talk about the differences. So you've got like Commander Vader, right? Compel, Core Trooper, Deflect, Immune to Pierce, Master of the Force, Relentless. He's already got 6, red dice. Doesn't surge offense or defensively. 8 health, infinite courage, speed 1. So you've mentioned that you like to take Commander Vader just slowly up the field before burst of speed, and now that the burst of speed is there, what are the 3 main force upgrades that you like to bring on Commander Vader?
Currently, burst, push, saber throw. I really, really want clairvoyance on him, but I can't justify dropping any of those 3. But just because clairvoyance is great hedge against dice variance, and more than once I've had 5 Vader on 5 wounds, take 5 hits and just die, which shouldn't happen, but obviously does. So clairvoyance is a great hedge against that, but it's hard to justify dropping any of the other 3.
Right. And I'm assuming you're taking saber throw one because it's going to be too slow, and you're basically doing an 8-inch movement, and then you're trying to saber throw for another 12. Or is it because you're kind of also trying to hedge mostly against the immobilized token that you're getting after burst of speed now?
A bit of both. There's also a lot of immune melee pierce things around. The new super attacks is one, Magna Guard and various other things, immune melee pierce. So often a saber throw is actually better than trying to just punch them. It's great to just drop 3 wounds on a tank. As you're walking in, take 3 wounds off something with armor and red saves, and just take 3 wounds off it is really really useful. So yeah, I'd probably say in 5 turns, I'm normally saber throwing turn one, usually. Depends. If not, it'll be turn two, and then maybe later in the game. So I find I get good use out of it. Yeah, and especially again, new releases. Pull the strings on Tarkin is going to be amazing on saber throw.
Oh, yeah.
Because the big challenge with Tarkin will be keeping him within range 2 of Vader. That'll be a real difficult thing to do because Tarkin's very squishy. And just being able to saber throw and pull a string saber throw again is going to make him much more flexible from a positioning point of view.
Now, I know that even with Yoda, he can guide it to move, and then shouldn't they can't technically do, I guess, an attack outside of their activation. Well, do you think that will hold with pull the strings as well, though?
They haven't changed the rules for pull the strings, so the pull the strings has never left the rulebook. So you can't trigger relentless. So it's a move or an attack, same as it was in Palp. They haven't changed the rulebook from pull the strings. They never took it out. So I won't be able to move shoot Vader because that's the standard 2.6 rule now. But you can just attack. That's what pull the strings does. So yeah, obviously you could get him up the board as well. And the yeah, so I think that'll be useful on Vader, but I don't necessarily think Vader's always going to be a target for pull the strings, but there's a whole conversation about those new releases. But yeah. So I think saber throw is definitely worth it. And as you say, sometimes people can just walk away from Vader. What Vader does very very well, and Commander Vader more so than Operative Vader, is go to a point and just stay there. And with 2.6, where the POIs work, that's very useful. So you can often use Vader as like a pivot to wherever the POIs are positioned, and he's kind of saying, "This is my area," and he will just dominate it more than anybody else can in the game. And so you don't really need to move. And sometimes people just run away from you. It happens more than once, in which case I'm just going to stand my point and throw my saber at you. But I've got this point, and this point is what is needed to win the game, and therefore often you win the game just because Vader's there and bossing things around.
So then, do you choose to infiltrate Vader more often than not with his 3-pip, or do you like
At the
reliable to?
start of 2.6, I infiltrated every single game. These days, I would say less than half the time. So it depends on the mission and the opponent very much. Like I just did a 3-game event last Saturday, and I think I infiltrated once and walked on twice, which is probably quite typical now. So it depends on opponent on mission. Typically, if they have quite a lot of melee threat, if they're quite a short range list, I will walk on from the back for 2 reasons. One is they're going to be coming to me because that's their list. Their plan is to come towards me, so I don't need to be running across the table quite as much. And two is when he gets in melee, those surges are absolute gold. I mean, they're good for offense, but they're very important for defense if you're expecting a lot of melee threats. But yeah, otherwise, if you're playing more of a gunline type list, infiltrating him and just careening him across the battlefield turn two is pretty good.
And you're never worried about speed one.
No, never. It's never been a
Okay.
problem. No, it's never been a problem at all. Obviously, there are advantages to speed two. I'm never going to say that Operative Vader is a great piece. He is really, really good. He just doesn't do certain things that Commander Vader can do. And it comes down to his infinite courage and what that allows you to do. So, problem with Operative Vader, because of his low courage, he needs to hook terrain. So he needs to be getting out of sight, kind of be cautious about where he's being placed, so he doesn't get even if he's not dying, if he doesn't want to get suppressed. Um, you can get around that a little bit sometimes by having Krennic in the list. So you've got Compel Vader, but then you're stacking more suppression on suppression, which becomes a problem as soon as Vader gets away from Krennic. So you're playing him quite differently. And the other thing with that is, even though Operative Vader is faster, he doesn't have jump. So you often get in a position where a speed 1 straight line is actually the same or faster than speed 2 running around corners. So obviously in a flat foot race, Operative Vader is always better, but Vader can just kind of point in a direction, just I'm walking that way. And he'll get to where he needs to be. He doesn't need to worry too much. I mean, getting behind line of sight is nice for a bit of cover save, but it's not essential because of his infinite courage, and especially if you've backed him up with a few medbots. So I would say Commander Vader is much, much better, but you do need to build your list around him more so. So he is, your list is Commander Vader and some friends. If you just want any kind of Empire list and you have 200 points left over, you just want to throw in Operative Vader, okay, maybe, it's not a bad choice. I just don't think it's anywhere near as good as Commander Vader.
Okay. Yeah. So I've been obviously a Operative Vader fan for the mere fact that Operative Vader has the ability to surge offensively whenever he's going up against another Jedi. He's got a force throw, which does allow you to scatter, and then you could then force push, and then you can really move that unit closer to you if you needed to, and or force push and then scatter and then kind of like get into melee a little bit differently. But the scatter is what really helps along with the blast. And then the fact that you can put, into the fray, get even more surges, and then you don't technically, again, have to infiltrate with him. You could walk onto the board, get there a little bit faster, and still keep that reliable too. And although he doesn't have, the ability to compel or do anything with the core and infinite courage, I feel like, one health, going down 1 health and going up to 3 courage, 3 courage isn't the worst thing for that 2 speed, because I find that even whenever I'm playing another force user, I never really get more than like maybe 2 suppression on them, and so I'm never worried about suppression with my force users. But I don't feel like they're ever in that situation. And with infiltrate,
but you don't get the suppression because you're hiding him, and that's kind of the point. Is you if you put him anywhere in the open, so they're going to get a beating and they're going to suppress him. So you're able to mitigate that by staying behind cover, by not letting them get line of sight on you, which is fine, but it does kind of mitigate the speed benefit.
well, I'm a little bit more aggressive, so I will usually either infiltrate and then get into melee within that round, within round one. So then he's always tied up, and so he's never getting suppression because he's usually either force pushing someone into him, scattering, and then trying to get into melee. And so there's never a time that people are able to shoot him outside of melee unless he finishes off the unit or they're trying to run so far. But at that point, that line is crumbling, and then all the other guys are usually trying to flank the other side, and are doing a pretty good job of holding down the fort. But yeah, it's not necessarily hiding because I'm usually hyper aggressive, especially when I play like Maul. I never put burst on him. I use force push because I can get him to infiltrate and then immediately get into melee.
Yeah.
And
I would say it sounds like your opponents don't understand threat ranges as well. I could be wrong, but yeah, I mean, if your opponent's letting Vader get in like that turn 1, they don't know what they're doing. is the best way I can put it. And I find that with a lot of comments and a lot of people when talking about lists and things is a real fundamental of Legion is understanding threat range. And it's surprising how many people don't. So when you're deploying, it's I was talking about somebody about remnants and their scouts and that kind of thing, and it's like, well, it's just this threat range. So it's like, I'm getting like 3 big shots turn 1. I'm like, well, only if your opponent's an idiot. Like if your opponent runs towards you, and then you're getting 3 big scout shots turn 1. But otherwise, if they know what they're doing, they'll just not let you do that. But yeah, no, it's ebbs and flows. I said I would never say Operative Vader is a bad unit. I think he's really good. He's just a different. Commander Vader is just a different animal. And I like so. Yeah, you're quite right. If you just wanted to throw Vader at an army and go deal with that, and the rest of the army is going to go do something else, then Operative Vader is perfectly good at doing that, and is a good choice. And you can have great success with that kind of build. That's not how I play
Okay.
usually. I do sometimes throw Vader at people, but it's usually I do that like on bunker assault because they've given me a situation where I can just go straight across and blow up their bunker turn 2, or claim it turn 2 and blow it up turn 3. So if they don't give me those kind of opportunities, I find just either Vader just throwing them across the table, you could be in trouble and getting killed quite
Definitely.
early. But it
Oh yeah.
depends. It depends how much you burn down on the way through, I guess. So if they're spending turn 2 and turn 3 just trying to deal with Vader, and then the rest of your army is doing what it needs to do, then yeah, that can work.
So then let's go ahead and talk about the rest of the army. So now we
Mhm.
know that Commander Vader and friends, or you have um, Operative Vader with others that kind of go into your army that are going to be massive threats. But so
Yeah.
what do you think the best synergizing units with Vader currently um, make up the best kind of army with, we'll say, Commander Vader, because I feel like that's going to be more important right now.
Yeah, I mean, either or. I mean, that's an interesting question. Both Vaders are very selfish. Commander Vader less so because he is courage bubbling his men and he's compelling the core, which helps a bit. But the nature of hit the playing piece is you have to have order control on him all the time. And his command cards are pretty selfish in terms of occasionally you give an order to somebody else, but it's generally Vader doing something cool. And you want most of his cards, so it discourages certain other characters because they want their command cards as well, so they don't synergize that well together. Some things I like Din Djarin with a Vader. Um, was one of the things you can do is seize the initiative on Din when you play New Ways, because Vader can't order him normally, so you need seize on Din. So that gets Din an order, so it's basically has the same effect as his one pip without using a one pip. And you still have an order in, so you have an order in Vader still. So that can work quite well. It costs Din a wound, but that wound can trigger tenacity, which so you're getting some benefit from that. And then if I've got those two, I would usually have one or two medics, so I can heal that wound later if I need to. So I find that combo works pretty well. And Din Djarin is just an animal in
Oh yeah.
2.6. It's crazy because when he first came out in 2.0, everyone's a bit like, it's not that great, it's not that great. But the change of cover rules just benefited him so much. And Super Squads benefited his flamethrower. And so, yeah, he's just an animal now. Obviously, Dewbacks work well. Dewbacks are one of the best units in Empire for the reason that 2.6 is about controlling POIs, and sometimes they're spread out quite a lot over the table. It means you have to move quite a lot in the game. Empire don't like moving as a general rule, and people talk about Empire struggling a little bit in the meta. I think it's entirely for that reason. It's because the way the missions are, you're kind of you have to move more. Whether it's move on to a point, then sometimes move between points. Some of the points, especially the missions where all the points are right in the middle. Empire kind of are designed to kind of just sit back and shoot. That's typical Empire gun line. That's what they're good at. The only unit that's a real exception to that is the Dewbacks and the Empire list. They're really, really good at being mobile and presenting threat, whether that's with long range plink gun, such as the RTC, or getting into melee. And then obviously combine that with new ways to motivate them to have an incredibly long threat range.
Yeah.
So things like Rebels love running triple sleeper cell, triple Dewbacks decimate triple sleeper cell. Again, because of threat rate, they've got a much longer threat range. So sleeper cell move up, Dewbacks counter punch, or if they sit back, the Dewbacks can still reach them because their charge is much longer than the sleeper cell's threat range. So yeah, so it's that I think that's why they kind of work well and quite popular in 2.6 because they've got that mobility that the rest of the Empire list doesn't. You get some things like speeder bikes, but they have a different kind of mobility and they're too fragile. So Dewbacks are quite hardy that they can withstand a couple of hits. especially if you get them into the fray. Just charge them into the point, and they'll just stick around for a while. With armor 1 and surging red saves, they're pretty hardy. Whereas the speeder bikes, try and put them on a point and defend it, they'll just melt.
Right.
Uh,
Yeah, I
so
know. In Legacy Legion, Shore Troopers were my absolute favorite to play, and now I feel like we're struggling to get them onto the board or kind of see them. Mostly, I think for mobility. Do you think that there's anything that could help the Shore Troopers a little bit, or anything? Do you even like Shore
yeah,
Troopers?
yes, I think super shores are amazing, and there's people who seem to be on the internet seem to be coming onto that a little bit in terms of that discussion. They've dropped the points a little bit, and they've dropped the points to the super squads, so now they're very interesting. Um, the problem with prepared positions is it depends on the terrain on the board. Occasionally, you're lucky, you've got a nice piece of terrain you can hide behind and then just move on to it and shoot things, and that's all good. If you don't have good terrain in your deployment area, your shores are sat there, and the way things work in 2.6 is or 2.0 is units come on, shoot the shores, come on, shoot the shores, come on. So your shores are getting blasted. So that makes you want to put them really far back, and then their speed 1 move is a bit of an issue. One thing that I have ran and will be running once High Command is out is shores with Recon Intel and Imperial March. I'm not going in prepared positions, just coming on the table. Because it allows, because the other thing with prepared positions is once they're on the table, your enemy knows exactly where their threat range is, and they can just stay out of it. They can very easily just say, well, I'm just not going in that bubble. Therefore, whilst you're zoning the board a little bit, they know what lines you can attack from and what the ranges are, so they can play around it a little bit. And so your 130-point unit is not doing as much as you'd like it to. Whereas they can come on the back. So it makes them more expensive, but it means that turn 1, your opponent doesn't know where they're coming from. I'll tell you, what I was planning to do for Worlds, but High Command's not going to come out. So I'll share it because people are working out anyway if they haven't already.
Okay.
Is obviously a list with Vader, Tarkin, Thrawn, and a Super Shore squad, and some other things. Because what that list allows you to do, and what you can do with Shores in particular, is between direct from Thrawn and your Standing Orders command card or Darkness Descends command card, either way. And I think I had an agent as well to give a core and order, something like that. So I ended up with like order control on my key units, even though I placed Darkness Descends or Standing Orders. And so with that list, you come on late with the Shores. Again, with Recon Intel, Imperial March, then shoot something. You've already got Thrawn on the table. You'll have multiple aims that you can exemplar, so you can get your long shot from Thrawn, no problem at all. Then your last activation, you bring Tarkin on and pull the strings on the shores, so they shoot again.
Nice.
And I think my list that I'd built included the new Imperial probe droids. So hopefully your target has like 6 observe tokens on them to help you reroll some of those shore slots.
Man.
So that's a nasty thing to do. And then Thrawn gives you reinforcement, so the shores can go back behind cover.
Okay.
And turn 2, you do it again.
That sounds so nasty.
Yeah. So I'm sharing all my secrets now, and everyone's going to be doing that. But it is terrifyingly good. I said it's just a shame I don't think it's legal for Worlds this year. It might be coming to World Team Championships though. But yes, everyone can work out how to counteract that. But good luck, because it's really good. And then so you basically your first couple of turns you're doing that, and then you've got Vader as well. So when it's a big brawl in the middle, then Vader comes into the fight. So you've got you've had opportunity to shoot the shores 4 times in the first 2 turns with lots of aims, lots of observed tokens, very little opportunity for the enemy to punch back against that squad. And so obviously that should do quite a lot of damage to a few of their units, and then Vader kind of just starts cleaning up the middle. Is the general premise behind that list.
Okay.
There's obviously counters to it and there's weaknesses, but in terms of you asked about shores in particular, I think that combination is what is really good for super squads is those upgrades that affect or abilities that affect a whole squad. So the super squads are a little bit expensive, or they have been all made cheaper. But anything like Recon Intel, Pull the Strings, Imperial March, they get so much more value out of them when you're doing it to 10, 11 models rather than 5 or 6.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. And I think remember looking at the Winter Moon podcasting, and they were talking about durability on there with Will and the other developer, and
Yep.
that Super Squads, with the durability that they have, especially behind heavy cover, and maybe even now pulling the strings, is going to be real insane with how efficient those units are going to be.
Yeah, yeah, and it goes back to activations versus effective activations. And one good thing about the big super squads is you got an activation that's doing more damage up front, so it's helping your attrition early in the round, which can be very useful. Or waiting to the last activation to respond to something and hitting it really hard. Whereas if you split your squads up into like 5 or 6 smaller squads, it's less impactful in that way. But obviously you've got more units, so you can put 3 or 4 squads on a POI rather than 1 or 2. So there's I think there's pros and cons, but it's definitely a discussion now between super squads and small squads. I think most lists you want a mixture.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think 1 or 2 super squads in any Empire list is usually a good idea.
Okay.
Unless some of the lists I'm running now are just 3 naked core, to be honest. But that's a different style of list. But but yeah, it's yeah. I think super shores are really good. I think smaller shore squads are okay, but prepared positions is dangerous. You gotta It's a little bit table dependent how good it is. Sometimes it's really really good. But as we've seen, there's other new missions coming out which will change the deployment zones. We've got outflank, which is interesting to be able to put shores on a flank. And I think more missions that come out with more interesting deployment zones will make them a more interesting choice. But you just got to be. It's the same with the old infiltrate rules. Don't always put them at the front of your deployment zone as close to the enemy as possible. You've got to kind of judge the situation and place them accordingly. And prepared positions is a may, so you can absolutely just bring them on from the back.
Okay. Now I know we have had Imperial March, which has definitely helped with mobility for Empire. And besides mobility in Empire, are there any other issues that you've really come across that you've had to really work around? Because I know that a lot of people are just saying like Empire has had a very rough go at it for at least a year and a half now. They used to be on top, like back when we first started, and now they're
Yeah,
just kind of like falling behind. What do you
it
think?
always it always ebbs and flows. Like
Mm-hmm.
so I've been playing Legion since it came out, and like most miniatures games, it ebbs and flows. Rules changes, new releases, points adjustments, etc., etc. It's the meta or what's good or what's bad is always like the challenge Empire have had is they've had a couple of new releases in over the last year or so, and none of them have been really good. I think they've all been okay. I think Riots, when they came out, were massively overcosted. They're now in a good place where they're reasonably good value, and Callus is adding a really interesting option to them. Range troopers were fine. Like they weren't bad, but they weren't mobile enough.
Mm-hmm.
And then they increased the points for some mysterious. I'm convinced that was a typo. Like so,
Yeah,
somebody in a cheap because there's no reason to do that at all.
for
But
real.
so short range troopers were fine. Whereas the rebels were getting sleeper cell, which are really strong. The separatists got a number of things. They got geos, which are just bonkers. And the new super attacks are insanely good.
Oh yeah.
And aquas, of course. So yeah, so I think the new releases have left Empire behind a little bit because none of the new releases are like really good top end units. Whereas if you look at Rebels, look at Separatists, to an extent clones, lesser extent clones, the new releases have immediately gone to like one of the best units in their faction. Um, so that's a challenge we've had, and I think it's similar. So I think of the kind of the new commander options. I think it's a nice addition to the Empire list, the new commander options, but I think they've got the weakest of all the factions. I think the other factions kits are a bit better than ours.
Yeah. No.
Um,
Yeah. I'm kind of. I feel like we're still missing surges. We're still missing a whole bunch of stuff that Gar has that Empire doesn't. Especially, um, since we've got red saves, but we can never get any surges, or maybe we don't surge to something, and I don't know. I feel like that's a massive hindrance for Empire as well.
Yeah, I
Uh,
mean, I don't have a massive issue with that just because it's how the list is. Um, but I do one thing if you do really want surges on your Empire list, um, an exemplar commander with Into the Fray, run him into the middle and just base the weakest unit you can find, and it'll generate surges for your rest of your Empire all day.
okay, yeah, that's actually a pretty good idea. Good fix to that.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
So you can like even like new ways your commander and just triple move him into. You just want a weak unit that is just going to sit there in the middle of the enemy army and just generate tokens with a 2-inch bubble for all your other troops to use.
that's awesome. Um, Now we've talked about for Vader for Force users for Empire, but we have the Inquisitors, and I feel like they have been very lackluster in what they've brought to Empire so far,
Yeah,
and I'm I'm kind of curious of what you think about them now.
I mean, yeah, they're not good. Um, uh, yeah, the only thing that makes them even close to being okay is their command card that shows tokens which you can abuse a little bit. But most Empire lists, you don't have the command cards available to be able to do that. Certainly not if you've taken Vader, you can't do it. And even then, you're bulking them up and they're a bit better and they're okay, to get extra tokens, but they're still like 5 Black Pierce 1, which is like it's fine. It's like if you base a super Shaw squad, you'd be feeling really good about yourself. You've got into them, you stop them shooting you, and the Shaws are going to win that fight. They'll just beat up the
Oof,
Inquisitor.
that's it's not
so,
fair.
so yeah, it's they're pretty weak. They're not so. Yeah, I think they need to go down a few more points. Um, I think they can. The thing that when they first came out was their Inquisitorious training, which is the one that switches off other Jedi Force powers. But the game's so spread out now, much more so than it used to be. It's hard to get that to trigger,
Hmm.
especially not with two of them together. And most Force users aren't running Force powers that are absolutely essential anyway. So it's really good at shutting down Force push. But because Force push is now 40 points, it's much less popular than it used to be. It's still amazing, but less popular than it used to be. They're getting less value out of that. So yeah, they're just a bit too expensive for what they bring. They're not bad. They're just too expensive. I think Tarkin's new 3-pip will help them a lot because you can gives you more Demoralize 1, which you can then stack with Inquisitorious Training and stack with Hate to give both of them Demoralize 3, and just dropping 3 suppression each is you can that does some work.
Yeah.
But it's still not great. It's something you can do that's interesting, but you've dropped 110 points or something for that, and it's okay. It's fine.
So then, do you think that the Imperial High Command will finally bring a lot of what the Empire is missing when it comes out?
I think it'll help a lot. I think um I think Thrawn is amazing, and I think every Empire list is going to include Thrawn, and you should. Um, it is his toolkit is outstandingly good on every Empire list. Tarkin's okay. He's fine. I think it's not as nowhere near as good as Thrawn, and it'll be nowhere near as impactful. I said pulling the strings on a big super squad's quite nice. Pulling on Vader's quite nice, but especially now you've lost the ability to relentless move attack. Um, it's not as good as it used to be. And Tarkin is very very easy to kill if you let people see him. So
Right.
yeah, you end up this he has to find a line of sight blocker to hide, a really good line of sight blocker to hide behind, and then you have this range 2 bubble around him where he's doing things. But as soon as he moves out that bubble, he's in trouble. Um, so
So why do
yeah, so I
you?
think he's okay, but Thrawn is amazing.
Yeah, I was actually gonna let you elaborate on why you think that Thrawn is amazing and why you think every list should include him.
He's just got an amazing toolbox. So whichever kind of Empire list you want to use. So he's a really good support commander, with his tactical, strategize, and exemplar. So he's sharing tokens around all over the place. He's a great candidate for Into the Fray. So as I said, so you can generate loads of tokens for Into the Fray, getting one exemplars for all the rest of your units. He acts as a linebacker unit, so his offensive capabilities are pretty strong. Duelist is an amazing command keyword. Um, so yeah, so he can protect your lines if the enemy starts running into you, chasing after you. Um, Direct is very, very useful, especially if you've got selfish commanders like Vader. So it means you can put just another order out there, can be really, really helpful. He's then got the extra move one that Lando has. I forgot the name of it.
One step ahead.
What's about there you go. That's just, I would say, because you can't control when it's happening, or whether it's Thrawn or somebody else moving, it's not as strong as some of the others. But it's like you get to move any unit on the board, fantastic. Or if Thrawn moves, he's generating an aim at the start of the round. Because of his tactical, then he's got exemplar on the aim, so it's it does a lot of work. And that's just his command card, his unit card. And we've seen I think it's his 2-pip command card is just outrageous. It is unbelievably good. Reinforcements on 3 units. Vader loves that. Absolutely loves it. As Commander Vader, getting him a bit close to the fight, amazing. And I said you can do things like with the Super Shore squads where you move up, shoot, and then just use that to go back and hide. Very, very strong keyword, just going on 3 units. And then his the 1 attack once per game, I think it is. It's kind of like a weird standby that you just trigger anytime you want, is so strong. Because your enemy doesn't know when it's coming, so they don't know when that attack is going to occur. So they can calculate, I'm going to get this POI, then all of a sudden you're attacking at an unexpected time, and it just really throws off their game plan. And of course, you can use it on Vader to get another, 6 red pierce 3 into something, which is, he's really, really good. Obviously, it depends a little bit on how much he's pointed, which we don't know yet. But I'm assuming he's not going to be ridiculous. It's not going to be over 150, I would assume. So yeah, I think he's very, very strong.
Okay.
And he adds a lot. It's a big toolkit that he's got, and also he's doing the job of like 2 or 3 units that you have to take currently. You want courage 3, you want extra tokens, you want somebody who's going to line back, and Thrawn just does all of it in one piece.
Nice. Yeah, I haven't heard a lot of people talk about him yet. The way that with the toolkit that he has that you were talking about it makes him seem like he's going to be really powerful.
Yeah, I said it. I think every Empire list will take him, unless yeah, I just can't see a reason why you wouldn't.
Okay.
No matter what type of archetype you want. Do you want a Vader list? He works really well with Vader. Do you want a gun line? He works really well in a gun line. Do you want kind of an aggro list? He works really well in an aggro list. He just works in every archetype you're trying to build. And he adds a lot of value.
Yeah, I'm excited for him. There was another pressing question that I've actually been trying to answer is with a faction that has as many bounty hunters as it has, I don't think we see many of these bounty hunters at all. Do you think that it's because they're overpriced? They're not, producing what they're supposed to be valued at. They're just underperforming. What do you think with Imperial bounty hunters is missing that could be either improved on, or what's the justification for even taking?
Yeah, I think all bounty hunters need to be looked at again. And I think AMG have said that they're looking at them, but not yet, because it's like a whole separate work stream for them just to look at bounty hunters. So you'll notice in the points adjustments, they're not really changing them because they're trying to work out a fix for them, and they don't want to change the points and then change them again 6 months later, kind of, or a year later. So they're aware that they're in that position. I don't think it's Empire bounty hunters. I think it's bounty hunters generally are in that kind of position, but obviously Empire have access to the most. I think currently Din Djarin is a really good choice for most lists. He just works really well in 2.6 or 2.0. Bossk is okay. I've used Bossk a few times. I like Bossk. I like the model. I like the rules. He's fine. If
Okay.
you take him, it's not bad. But he's not great. And that, as long as you know that's what you're getting, that's you won't be disappointed. Um, it's some bits about his kit are quite nice, but he's fine. Um, I think the others generally are all pretty weak.
Mhm.
They're for very like Bob Oldman, or well, the younger Boba Fett, I guess he is now.
Mhm.
So the Empire Boba Fett is, a lot of his value is sharpshooter too, which is now much less good than it was. Um, he's also very good at taking out small units, which we kind of see less of these days.
Right.
And his points haven't been adjusted accordingly. So he certainly if you compare him to Din Djarin, if you build Din to about 140 points and Boba's probably similar, Din's just so much better.
Yeah.
Um, so unless you really, really want to run double Mando in an Empire list, there's no reason to take Boba, which is a shame. And the other thing is Boba's very command card selfish, which again doesn't really work in Empire, because if you don't have Vader, you'll have somebody else that wants to use all their command cards. Um, whether it's Iden or Krennic or whoever else you happen to be running, or Din Djarin. So he struggles. You need to use his command cards to get the most out of him, and he struggles a bit to be justifying that. The IGs they just melt with the way the rules currently work, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Uh, and so they're similar. So they suffer a little bit from just the way the game's moved, and they haven't been pointed accordingly.
Okay. We did see a points drop with the Imperial Special Forces, and I'm not sure if Inferno Squad did come down or not. Do you
I think
think
they did.
you don't think they did?
No.
Okay, yeah. Do you think that Iden and Imperial Special Forces or Inferno Squad deserve to be on the table at the moment?
Um, I don't know if they deserve to be. They're obviously more um, points effective than they used to be. They're still not good.
Okay.
So they're okay. Tax Strike just isn't what it was. Like, going like, old Legion getting like 4 or 5 crits in a shot was amazingly good, and now it's like, okay, I lost 2 shot troopers from my super squad. Okay, cool.
Right.
It's just not doing the work that it used to do at all. They worked well because the Tax Strike Alpha was so strong. Taking that away, they're kind of like, they're okay. Um, I think generally Empire special forces are pretty weak, or overcosted, depending which way you want to look at. I mean, don't worry, if they were another 10, 15 points cheaper, I think then they become a good unit, very good for the points unit. They're not good, they're effective for their points value. Infiltrate is very strong, but yes, I think they're okay. And if you want to bring them and you want to design a list around them, it's not a bad thing at all. Um, but it'd be interesting because I think you can partner with the probe droids, so you can use the probe droids to turn your dice to hits, then marksmen to turn to crits, or just get 8 hits for a shot,
Right.
which that does some work.
Yeah.
So these things I don't yeah, and Iden's okay. She's not great. She feels a bit too expensive still. Um, but yeah, she's okay.
Okay. Now for supports, I mean, obviously the dewbacks I feel like are the best support option. Other than
Mhm.
that, do you think um, I guess bikes would be the second best?
I think eWebs.
E-webs, okay.
Yeah, the eWebs are really, for a number of reasons, they're quite strong. Depends on the list you're building, but I think eWebs are pretty good. You can sit them at the back. They're not that expensive. The range 4 is really nice. Then with the standby, so if you go early, you can stand by still to protect POIs. Especially with the new cumbersome rules, they can then now move shoot if you really need them to. Makes the dice pool a little bit weak, but you can with barrage you just throw like 1 black and 6 white or something with critical search crit, so you can do something.
Okay.
Um, so yeah, I think eWebs are okay, but again they're very much a gunline type unit. So it depends what you're doing with the rest of the list, and how you see that working. They work pretty well in Remnant. Speeder bikes, I think speeder bikes are still usable. You just got to be even more cagey than you had to be in 2.0. Or sorry, in Old Legion. I keep getting the editions mixed up. And yeah, they do melt quite easily. So it depends what missions you're planning to take or you're hedging to go against. But yeah, they're not great.
If you had to make a change to speeder bikes, like cover one, do you think that that's worth it? Do you think that that's enough? Would there be any other kind of like defensive measures or anything like that you would make to them to make them better?
That's interesting. What would I change? I mean, obviously, cover two would help. And it's probably justified for all speeders, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because obviously previously the reality was the way nearly all bikes units worked. You had the cover one built in, but they were always behind heavy cover
Mm-hmm.
because you could hear the other model behind a building somewhere. So it was very easy to get bikes into heavy cover. I think having them as cover two natively for all speeders would probably be a good thing. I think. I think that would help a lot. Um,
Yeah, that's what I think too.
yeah. Yes, I think just that change in itself was probably enough. Um, I mean, swoops are really good. If you want to take bikes, Empire can't take them, unfortunately, but swoops are really good because the overrun rules are broken.
Yeah. Oh, I love the overrun rules.
I,
I love
I
my.
hate it. I hate them. I hate swoops. I hate overrun. Yeah, don't like it at all.
It makes my maul a lot more deadly in Shadow Collective. So I absolutely love them. Now for Imperial heavies, what would you say your favorite Imperial heavy is?
My favorite is the Gav tank, but at the minute it's really weak.
Mm-hmm.
So I like the Gav tank. I used it quite a lot in Old Legion. Um, uh, yeah, especially because I said the board is much more spread out. It's almost impossible to protect your flanks,
Yep.
and that side's really big. Um, it hurts. It hurts a lot. You can keep it at range 4 of things, and it's range 4. It's range 4 shot. It's actually better than the ATSD's range 4 shot. So it's okay at range 4, but again, you need to move on to a POI at some point, and one of the best things about heavies is moving on to POIs and being quite sturdy and difficult to shift from it. Um, so yeah, puts the Gav tank in a really bad spot. The other thing about obviously the Gav tank is a transport, so it's what are you transporting? What is it that you're getting at the table? Um, and there's a few things you can do with that, but probably not worth it. I think the LAT's gone down in points, and people seem to be trying them a little bit more now. Um, I think they're okay, not great.
Now,
Um,
would you put Door Gunner on the Gav tank?
Never,
Okay.
because you don't want it. If you're taking a Gav tank, you don't want it that close. You don't want things in your flanks. So if you're taking Door Gunner, you want to play it so that you are getting those shots off. But then you've got units at range 2 in your side, and your Gav tank is going to die.
Right.
Because it's possibly on a lat. I might take it, but I think it's quite a lot of points. Um, Not a massive fan of Door Gunner generally, but it's potentially depending how you're planning to use them, it's not too bad. The best Imperial Heavy by far are Dark Troopers.
Okay. Oh yeah.
Um, uh, and that is primarily because the way they abuse the pass mechanic. The unit themselves are okay; they're pretty good. They're pretty sturdy. They've just come down in points, which does make them a little bit more bang for buck. You can get both heavies for 189 points now. I think it is for both heavies and their retinue, so which is not a bad price point for 10 red wounds, armor 3, with pretty good guns. So I think they're by far the best heavy, but they're not a vehicle. They don't play the same way. Um, but yeah, they're pretty good. And yeah, what they do to the pass mechanic is just horrible. Guaranteeing Vader going last, especially
Yeah.
Commander Vader. is really, really nice because you turn 2 turns per game. He's got effectively, you can throw 2 units off POIs. With Implacable or Vader's Might is just throwing units off, and if you're guaranteeing that's the last activation of the round, that's really, really strong.
Yeah, no, that's one thing that I've enjoyed is the double Dark Trooper and having a Vader in there, having like 8 activations, but really you've got like 10, and it's
Yeah.
it's so nice.
Yeah,
N-
the challenge with those really low act lists, and it's high act versus low act conversation is players and lists that just rush your POIs. So they know they're going to take damage, but their 14 acts just run onto the POIs, and you can't kill them quickly enough.
yeah.
So it's those games become very interesting because from your opponent's perspective, that is a very high risk strategy. Like I'm just going to run at your Vader and your Dark Troopers, and you're like, okay, let's do this. And you see
Game
how
on.
quickly you see how quickly you can burn them down. I think that's very interesting. But it is the risk of low act lists is, and certainly some missions like recover the research where the game's really spread out. It's quite hard work. But I took 7 acts 7x on Saturday and went 3-0. So it's
Okay.
definitely possible, but
Yeah.
sometimes a bit sweaty.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say, didn't you give advice to, was it Ollie about the 6 activation Gar list?
It wasn't advice; it was my list. So
Okay.
I wrote the list. I was planning to run it after World Team Championships. Um, and Ollie was in like he wasn't happy with any of the lists. Didn't know what to take. He was going to World Team Championships, had no idea what to do, and I suggested he try it. Um, and he played like 3 practice games and sent me a message like, "This is amazing," and then went to World Team Championships, which is probably the most difficult field of players you can play in. It's much more worlds than worlds is, unfortunately, the way the tournaments have gone. The
Yeah.
best players in the world are all there, and Ollie went 6-0 with that list, and yeah, it's got massive weaknesses, but it definitely can. It played. I think just we kind of did the matchup just for the lols. I think it played like a 17 act rebel list, and on Ollie tabled it, I think, or like left it with like one model left or something like that. It was in 4 turns. It
Y-
was interesting.
Yeah, Mowgli loves those high activation rebel lists, and yeah, it was very interesting. I'm glad that it happened. That you get to see a 6 act list versus like that high 17 act list, and see which kind of comes out on top, and kind of
Yeah,
just turns the how many activations do you need in Legion. It kind of just flipped that upside down, and there's really
exactly, and that's similar to the Pulp Vader list I mentioned before. I think Morax is better, but it doesn't mean you can't win with Loax if you have a plan. And that's the massively important thing is if you don't have a plan, okay, you want red saves and lots of them, and you can just move on to a point and hope your dice win you the game.
mhm.
But if you have a good plan, you know what you're doing, and you understand how this list is going to win in different circumstances, then the number of activations doesn't matter.
Yeah. Okay, and then kind of just like lastly, we have the wet weather troopers or the Mumban troopers and the mud troopers coming out. Are
Yeah,
you really excited about those?
not at all.
Not at all.
Not at all. I mean, just for 2 reasons. The rules, nah, I don't know. I guess they're going to be like similar to Stormtroopers. I guess maybe slightly different. I'm not sure. And the background of Mimban and things doesn't excite me. So I might
Okay.
I might take them. I might use them. I might when they all come out and they're released and in all their glory, there might be something about them that I think, oh yeah, that's really nice. I really want to use that. Um, the models look lovely, which is really good. But putting them in a list, from what I've seen, nothing about it is making me go, oh yes, I definitely want to run them.
Okay. Yeah, no, I was
But I'm more excited about Stormtrooper Battalion, if I'm honest,
okay, why?
from a rules point of view. Um, that is more. It's just Vader and 60, 70 Stormtroopers. It's cool. Most of my list concepts come down to doing something that I think is fun and interesting. And yeah, and from what I've seen in the Troopers so far, there's nothing that's grabbing me going, oh, that'd be really good to use, that'd be really interesting. Once they're all out, maybe the models are lovely, or maybe I'll want to do a new, because I've got multiple Empire armies in different paint schemes. I've got 3 so far.
Oh wow.
Um, I I may do a Mimban Mud army. I don't know, but currently not.
Okay. No, I just think that it's cool with the the like they were talking about World War I should say kind of look to
Yeah,
them, and I did my Gav tank has sandbags on the side of it to kind of make it more of like an old school type of war tank. But yeah, I don't know. They look like they should be fun models, but I guess I don't know how they're gonna function on the table. I just wasn't sure
you
if
know,
you were.
as I said, from what I've seen, not excited. But if when they might have some, if the World War I type design, they might have some really cool trench warfare rules somehow that they come out with, or they might have, I don't know, mustard gas, or I don't know what. I just don't know. I don't know at all what they're going to come out with. So yeah, once I see more, I might be. The models look good though, but currently, they're of the new models we saw. They're not exciting me as much as some of the other ones.
Okay.
I'm more excited for Probe Droids, if I'm honest. Just so I can just go me in the middle of games all the time.
Yeah, I guess those are going to be detachments for special forces.
Yes, looks that way. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Um,
I'm not. I'm not. One thing I'm not sure about is how that's going to interact with the detachment strike teams. And does that mean you can have 12 special forces units, 6 probe droids? I don't know.
yeah, that's what I was actually wondering. Because I mean, obviously detachments you like double up almost, but yeah,
Yeah,
that's
currently, the way the rules were written, I think you can. So you can have like 3 naked scouts, 3 snipers, 6 probe droids, and just. And it's not even that many points, I don't think. Or won't even be that many points. So, yeah. I don't know if that'll be legal or not, but I don't know if it'll be good, but it'll be a lot of weak stuff. Speaking of like activations, that's like 12 activations that will just melt, but you've got 12 activations.
man. Yeah, no, I mean, hey, you'll probably have like a 20 something act list coming up soon with Empire and Vader.
Yeah, exactly. I'll just take them and 3 naked core, and then just like have, Vader, Thrawn, Tarkin, Din Djarin, and 15X. Just like, okay.
Yeah. Now I guess there's actually two more questions I'd like to ask. What is a unit that is not out that you would like to see for Empire?
That's interesting. Am I allowed to say Palpatine?
Okay. Yeah.
bring back justice for Palpatine and the Royal Guard. Bring them back. I'm not sure that's likely, given what we understand is why they went away in the first place, was just Disney said they had to go away.
Hmm.
So I don't know if that's true or not, but that's yeah, justice for Palpatine. Other than things we haven't seen for the Empire, more vehicles. So I don't remember. I don't know if they're in the movies or not. I can't remember. But there certainly was the Kenner kits. There's various like transports. There's like that snow vehicle where it had the rollers on it.
Yeah.
I can't remember all the names, but yeah, some of those kind of things would be quite fun.
Yeah.
Um, what else would there be? I'm trying to think of things that aren't out for the Empire, if that makes sense, like things that are in canon but aren't available.
I've heard a
Um,
lot of people try to mention like Purge Troopers or try to
oh
mention
yeah,
the.
Purge Troopers. They would be interesting. Maybe they like rules wise they might be similar to, like, to the Royal Guard. I imagine. I don't know. Sort of played if you played like that computer game. My mind's gone blank. Jedi Survivor, is it something
I
like that?
I think so.
Which always have purge troopers like they can block lightsabers with their weapons and that kind of thing.
Oh
It
wow.
feels mechanically in the game they do. Anyways, you've got a lightsaber and they're blocking it with their electro staff things. So maybe that might work similar to Royal Guard. We got Empire units, immune pierce in melee. Which be
Yeah.
interesting.
I'd like to
Um,
see the Grand Inquisitor come in at some point.
oh yeah, just like lots of Inquisitors. Just
Yeah.
like be able to take all of them. Yeah. The Grand Inquisitor maybe like build your own Inquisitor, similar to what the Jedi have.
Yeah.
Build your own Jedi, so build your own Inquisitor, different kits that are available and things like yeah. I think there's lots more to go at. Then of course they're talking about the big battles, so that brings into the AT-AT. Probably it takes up
Uh,
like half the table, but
right.
mechanically, I'm not sure it's going to be possible in this scale.
Yeah. I
But
can't
yeah,
imagine.
some of the bigger, more interesting things, maybe. Um, yeah, we'll
Yeah,
see.
I can't imagine painting the AT-AT or the AT-AT and putting it on the table. That's just so much paint that you're gonna have to to use.
Yeah, that'd be fine.
And then the last one is there a battle force that you would create for the Empire if you could? Or maybe is there a battle force that you um, want to have in Empire?
I think it'd be very interesting, and I don't think they're going to. Not sure they do this because battle forces tend to capture a battle or a point in time.
Hmm.
Typically, is kind of how they're doing it. Um, so I'm thinking effectively, uh, Order 66 Vader. So it's either just before or around Order 66, possibly when he's still Anakin but evil, or
Yeah,
possibly he's just become Darth Vader and is off hunting the Jedi. So
that would
and
be.
it effectively you with clone troopers rather than stormtroopers because that point in time that was kind of how it was. Um, yeah,
Yeah,
something like that. So it's got a weird Empire clone feel to it, like a bit of a mix of the two. I think that'd be really cool.
that would be awesome. Yeah, because I'm actually looking forward to that Anakin sculpt with his Clone Wars kind of like style, the general.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, but imagine Anakin with the hood and the red eyes, that kind of iconic scene where he's got the troopers, or at the end of the Clone Wars cartoon series where he's there with clone troopers as Vader looking for Ahsoka. Um,
oh,
that
yeah,
kind of vibe. Yeah.
that'd be cool to see. Hopefully they'll, in the future, I'm sure that they've got so much on their plate, could come out with something like that.
Yeah, but that's for me. As I'm going through the story of Vader, that's the key transition, and it's not there in the game at the minute. So that'll be fun.
Yeah. Well, I think that's pretty much all of the questions to ask, and I really wanted to thank you for joining and taking the time out of your day to talk about Vader and Legion.
No problem at all. My only advice for all your listeners is it's good to listen to podcasts and other people's opinions, but do what you think's good, and work out how to use it well. That's the best advice I can give to people when playing the game. Similar to like my pal Vader and the Six Axe clones and whatever else I'm happen to be doing at the minute. But work out your own list. There's lots of ways to play the game and to do well that people haven't thought of.
Oh yeah,
So yeah,
yeah. A king who listens to many counselors gets wise advice because there's a lot of different people who are going to give him good advice, and I mean at least taking what you can and filtering out like, hey, I've heard all of this different discussion. A lot of this makes sense, but I'm happy to inform people and getting your kind of expertise on Vader and getting having them listen to this is what could work. These are the things that maybe I haven't tried. I think you've offered
yeah,
quite a lot.
a germ of an idea, and then one like a thought exercise I always like to do is take a germ of an idea and just take that to the far extreme and just see how far you can take it with list building. And see where you end up with. And sometimes you end up with something really good, and sometimes you really don't. So,
Yeah, you gotta be willing to take those chances and fail sometimes.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, well, thanks a lot, Dave. I really
No worries.
appreciate it. And good luck in the next Worlds Team Championship stuff that you might be doing.
Yeah, well, Worlds at the end of March in Milwaukee, and then World Team Championships in May. So yeah, I'm currently the defending England captain, so we gotta put up a good showing.
Yeah, I'm expecting big things from you.
I'm not. I was dragging the team down last year. So my teammates did really well last year. I did not. So I was
Oh,
dragging them down, but we still won. So like we lost across the 36 games. We lost 4 last year, and 3 of them were my losses.
ah,
So yeah, we need to No, sorry, it was 24 games. It's 24 games and we lost 4. Yeah,
Okay.
and three of them were mine. So yeah.
Oof. Well, hey, I
Never
mean, at
mind.
least you gave it your shot and you played a list that you liked.
Yeah, no, it was always.
All right. Well, thanks a lot for joining, and hopefully, we get a lot of people who've tuned into this and love your expertise on Commander Vader.
No worries at all. He's the better choice.
Uh,
But enjoy whatever you enjoy. If you want to give yourself a more challenging game, take Operative Vader. It's fine.
okay, shots fired there. I see. Well, all right, guys. That's it, and thanks for watching. Y'all have a good one.